I am pleased to introduce our first presentation of the day with the title Neuropedagogy as a Relevant Branch of Scientific Knowledge, which has been prepared by Ms. Natalya Ushakova. Let me introduce her, please. Ms. Natalya Ushakova is based in St. Petersburg, Russia, and she is an accredited pediatrician, allergist-immunologist, and neuropsychologist. With a deep commitment to holistic care, she integrates innovative approaches like neuro-linguistic programming and profiling into her practice. Her career spans pioneering work in pediatric medicine, neuropsychology, and supplementary education, focusing on the comprehensive well-being of children. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ms. Natalya Ushakova's presentation, Neuropedagogy as a Relevant Branch of Scientific Knowledge.
Здравствуйте, дорогие коллеги.
Hello, great colleagues. Thank you for your interest in this conference and for this theme for neuropedagogy and as an actual branch of scientific knowledge. And a huge gratitude to organizers, translators. So, neuropedagogy is the actual branch of scientific knowledge. Why it sounds like that? Why the title is the reason is the neuropedagogy is a transdiscipline of the scientific knowledges. Just pay attention, please. This in a presentation, there are two young people, there's something writing, they're hearing each other, or they write differently. Look how they differently, how they have and their head. The neuropedagogue pays attention actually to all those things. So they have to pay attention. Parents and educators have to pay attention because there is actually pedagogy. Pedagogy is actually the science about the whole combination of different aspects of human being, and also it belongs to neuropedagogy. Neuropedagogy helps everyone, each of us, just to observe holistic and feel each other much better. To the next slide, please. Let's consider an implementation of neuropedagogy as an example teaching children. So let's say what age the child has to start to be taught, because 7 years old, you might be surprised, because right now actually it's common to teach children much earlier, but actually according to the all 6-7 years old, it's actually the development of the those lobes of brain are formatted, and that is exactly the stage when the child can absorb everything. So everything that is the special, the critical zones of the brain is actually developed, and that's why he's in this age can actually construct grammar, reading, writing, also actually at 7 years old. It doesn't matter what culture on this is exactly at 7. There is a zone that formatted of the writing that is asymmetric to its speech. It actually another very important moment, very actual right now, a very to enter the a child to assess them. So the child actually developed the critical assessment of his behavior, especially in this age. He is actually ready to actually accomplish some tasks for so be on duty and other many other things. Also, very important is just exactly at 6-7 years old, the child can actually he can actually make goals for a duration of a week. In neuropedagogy, that they actually call it as a planning, as a temporary perspective, just depending on a time. So you can realize the future, visualize the future. In this age, they start accomplishing that. In overall, actually, the formation of the time perspective, it actually develops with time, and by the 14 years old, actually, the child can actually plan his life for 3 months. So that is, we can actually assess what time we start really planning the long term. The next slide. So we already talked about that. So we can go to what is the practical tools that the neuropedagogy opens for teaching and outreach. We can say in metaphorical sense, we can say that there are only four points of neuropedagogy. The first one, strategies of thinking according to the for the right approach that others will feel and hear you. Second, what is the modality and what is the representative system? Third, what is the temperament? And the fourth is gender. The whole instruments you can actually master. The next slide. So the right realization for those 3 points that we talked about, there is actually synthesized teaching methods. So the different methods of the neuropedagogical methods. So together with the already traditionally developed methods. So depending on how the social and national intellect. So the first is training role. So the step-by-step organization. Why is that? Because every person has their own strategy of thinking relating to the world, sensations, and so on. What does it mean? So lateralization of the leading part of the brain. So the majority of us are right-handed. That means that the left hemisphere of the brain works. So the left hand. So this doesn't mean that it's actually the right hemisphere. No, these are actually opposite methods of worldview. And then there is a combination. There is both hemisphere work together. So they're actually both hemispheres are connected. together. So the next slide, to understand that, we will just very quickly we'll talk about it. So the left hemisphere, pay attention to its inductive processing. From the right hemisphere, deductive processing. It's just different perception of abstract features, the left hemisphere, the abstract features. The right is perception of specific size. The left hemisphere, sequential processing. The right one is parallel processing. The analytical perception, the left hemisphere, and synthetic holistic perception, the right hemisphere. Perception of time, this is the left hemisphere, and the reception of in space, this is the right hemisphere. That is very beautiful. Those our hemispheres are work together, but one prevails. But that's what we have to absolutely know. This is the next slide. So how to teach with individual strategies. So the left hemisphere. So we are the silence and the black board and the logical and just very detailed and many times repetition, verbal repetition. Next, the motivational stage is the first, I want to learn, I want to get knowledge. It doesn't matter what teacher evaluates me. How to calculate the result. So there is actually the testing and questions of the closed way. So the most right now, what's happening in the right hemisphere. So right, this is the figurative nature of a concrete process. Those people, those kids are there has to be the very, it's good actually, the whole knowledge is that they know that their music, that there's something very bright, there are different types of the very, как можно more, there is the other slide, this motivation stage. It's just the approval for those kids. We don't know who are the left hemispheres or right hemispheres. The result, we talked about that. So we have to actually see what is. We need to see that there is the graphic representation of the results and the actually and the equal hemispheres has to be both. The next slide, please. So if we have kids with a different organization, how do we integrate that? So we need that both hemispheres work, so that they have to be the good connection between both hemispheres, left and right. So for the left hemisphere, it's for the right. We have to somehow develop it as well. We need text and the technical character. So there is the metaphors that who are left and right-handed. The prof, there is the prof who's right-handed. They see a lot, the forest and they don't see one tree. So to accept information, what modality is the prevalent. a very important instrument that we have to understand. So modalities. So each of us is actually observe the world. They hear, we see, taste, and smell. And so one of those modalities. So there is the different part of brain hemispheres are leading. So there is the verbal perception, audio, kinesthetic. So there is a fourth one, digital. So this digital, this develops in the teenage and also the adults. There is some deformation. So if there is some kind of disturbance, and there is realities, there is closed, the emotional perception closed. How can we actually distinguish? So with the neuropedagogical methods developed, it's very easy. You have to listen how children talk. The visual usually they use words bright. It's audio perception. They hear something still, and kinesthetic, something moving, and so on. The digital representation is actually think about, observe. The next slide, please. We already talked about that. Next one. So also very, very important to talk about the representative systems. We need to pay attention to how they observe the child, how during the education process, how the educator has to pay attention. It's very with a visual child with a visual modality. They just draw something right when the educator is talking. So it's better observed. What does kinesthetic? He needs to move the head. So we have let's remember the first slide. One is moving his head. So teacher doesn't have to stop. Don't move your. What are you doing? You're moving your hand or your pen. What does the verbal oriented child does? He has to move his mouth. He has to slowly talk about it. And what digital said, he needs to think. And the teacher is telling him, why are you? What are you thinking about? Another very important is the temperament of a child. The educator has to feel what temperament the child is, melancholic, sanguine. So it actually inherits their qualities. So and if the child is melancholic and the teacher start abruptly asking him, he can bring this child to a stupor. And melancholy is their slower reactions. So they're very, very sensitive. And that's why it's very abruptly, or just even with the tone of the voice, you can turn this child for several hours, maybe even a day. Some meetings, they sometimes educators call them, oh, they bother everyone. The next, so for us, for educators to approach it properly, we need to actually combine the different strategies of thinking, modalities, temperament, everything. This is actually an art, and actually, and also see the initiative of a person. This is the creativity of educator and the love to children, to people. How can we do that? For example, he calls the child and he asks a child an answer. The answer he and the teacher responds accordingly to the modality of the child, and then he he asked children, what can you actually uh, uh, say about it, or let's see what you can add. We also help children of different modalities to just all harmonious picture. And and also it's not also like I give you some approval, but there is also, yeah, and also very important to see the gender differentiation. The theme is very broad, so we don't have time for that, but there are different aspects we can say. So we can say the men and boys, the neuron connection is actually vertical. So that's why they are very quickly realize the concrete task. That's why they're so because they have sharpened their attention to something. And what girls and women they have there is vertical and there is horizontal. So the connection between those the nuances are for girls. That is what they are very good at. So that's why we actually depend on each other and we complement each other, and educator need to all this pay attention to that. So the different, maybe it's the approach of education should be that in the separated education, because girls develop in 2 years approximately faster. The other very interesting, men and children, when they work better, when there is a cool atmosphere, and women is so the next slide. So what we just talked about, we can say the conclusion, we can draw the conclusion. Neuropedagogy is very, very important and necessary. How instruments help how to educate children, the correct education, how to relate with each other, but how to realize it. There is there is necessary knowledge, but so there has to be an education for for those knowledges of how our brain works. So also so maybe added to classification to the medical professions, this specialty neuropedagogy. So organize the actually support for parents and educators. So how the brain of child develops, what age is appropriate for different kinds of things, and also for all educators, for everyone, parents, to know all those elements. That each person is a unique has a very unique structure, and there is internal structure that actually opens up depending on the surrounding in the environment, method of education that brings in each individual is beautiful and has so much potential. So to have this, what it is, what it, to develop.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Ms. Ushakova, for this insightful presentation and inviting us to such a deep reflection here. And as we have gone over time, we invite the participants to forward all questions in the chat so we can forward to Ms. Ushakova. So we will take time for that to pass the questions on. And thank you again for this beautiful insight about brain development of children.